Hey y'all, good morning. This is Racheal. I'm here on Brevard Live. We're doing a little bit different things this morning. I've got two guests this morning instead of just one. We are here to talk about the home buying process. We've got Paul Heathman over here from Home Trust Bank and JJ Shepard here from Looking Glass here in Brevard. Welcome y'all. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I've got two extreme professionals, both been in their independent businesses since 2013. So Paul's been working with buyers and trying to get into the home with the financing. JJ's been trying to help them find the home in the end and take them to closing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
And I've had the pleasure of working with them both on multiple properties, so I know that these two are one of the best in our area to work with. So let's take a look at the home buying process, I guess.
All right, let's dive into it.
Let's dive into it. So as y'all know, we have had an influx of people wanting to move to Western North Carolina. I just don't know why. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
It's not a secret anymore.
I guess so. I guess, is this where we kind of blow the top on that?
Yeah. Word is out.
Word is out for sure. So we've got someone who's interested in buying a home, right? They're looking on Zillow. They're looking on, what's the first thing that happens?
Reach out to an agent usually. Yeah.
They're calling you. What's the best way to reach out to an agent?
A lot of people will come through, the syndicated website, Zillow or realtor.com, to request a showing through the listing agent. What they don't realize is those sites are selling agents' listings to other agents who are willing to pay more money to get the leads. So always a good rule of thumb is talk to your friends, see who they used when they bought a house, or neighbors or what have you, and then do some research on your agents, check reviews on Zillow or realtor.com, or Google reviews is a great way to do research. And then when you're ready to look at a house, give one a call.
Okay, wonderful. And Paul, what do you get? When do people start talking to you?
Yeah, so oftentimes I'll hear from an agent that I work with commonly, and I'll just hear that, hey, we're going to look at some houses. We need to get ourselves in a situation where we can make an offer if this is the one, right? So I'll have an initial conversation with someone. We'll do an application, go through this pre-qualifying process. That's a pretty in-depth part of the process, but essentially I'm looking at three things. I'm looking at the need for a down payment, your ability to have one. We call that loan to value. We look at your credit report, and we consider that, your history, as well as, of course, the score. And then your debt to income ratio. So this speaks to your household income and the amount of debt that you can carry based on that each month. So cash flow, more or less. Yeah, sure. And then, the goal there is to get us a letter that I can get back to you, right?
The magic piece of paper.
How important is that pre-approval letter for y'all?
That's the piece of paper that'll get you in the door. Yeah. You got to have a pre-approval letter to have any seller take you seriously. We've gone through a very competitive market over the last 3-4 years, and without a pre-approval letter, no one's going to take you seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, so they won't even look at your offer without that.
So really the buyer's talking to both of y'all at the same time in order to get in a door, or two doors, because the market's so competitive, in order to make an offer.
That's correct.
Okay. So they make the offer, they submit it, negotiate, you've got it, you've got the deal, you're under contract. What happens?
So I need a copy of that contract, right away.
First thing we do is we get it out the door to the lender, to the attorney, and so they can get their files open and start processing it. And then as an agent with the buyer, we have the conversations. Okay, we're in the due diligence period. What inspections you want to do? Do you want to do a survey? Do you want to have your plumbing checked, septic inspection, well inspection, radon tests, pest inspections, survey? You could spend thousands of dollars on all the inspections if you want to, and no one's making you do it, but it's a very smart thing to do because you know what you're getting yourself into. And then we work through the process of getting quotes and seeing how much these types of things are going to cost you to deal with, because you're taking these burdens on. Or you can renegotiate with the seller and request they repair some items or get a credit back from the seller. A seller paid closing costs to help deal with those and hire your own contractors once you get in the door.
Okay.
Those are kind of the main things that happen through that process. And then obviously they're calling you
Right.
to get quotes on insurance. Paul's requesting pay stubs and credit card statements and copies of your birth certificate.
Everything.
We don't need
checking,
that. We're
checking your blood. Yeah.
Fortunately, we're this is very much the time, post executed contract, that everything is all happening all at once. Right. Those inspections, while those are taking place, I have locked an interest rate in. I have worked up a package of loan disclosures called the loan estimate, being kind of one of the most important kind of calculating documents there. Once that's signed, we can order an appraisal. The appraiser's going out to visit the property to make a determination on market value. Really the title request, you mentioned sending the contract to the attorney. Of course, we're going to send out a formal title request to that attorney. It's not so much linear, I guess. There are many things all happening all at once. That insurance quote being an example.
Right, because that's going to be something that's processed in part of your closing fees and or outside, or depending on how that loan is set up. And for us, once that goes under contract, that's a great time to give Brevard Insurance a call and start talking about, okay, how is this home going to be deeded? That's a big thing. Who's going to be using the home? What are the characteristics of the home? Is there any rental exposure to it? All these pieces of data that we have tried to streamline in our office with some intake forms and things like that to make that process easier for the buyer, because we know that they're getting emailed out of the wazoo just for every little piece of information about their lives. So we're trying to streamline that, because it's important for us that after closing, that's the thing that's going to be in place to protect in case lightning strike or flooding or what have you happens. So we're trying to make things as streamlined as possible so that we can produce the binder for y'all and we send off to the loan processor for closing, and then you can check that off your list.
Yeah.
Right.
And what your quote comes in at is going to determine what their loan
that overall
is going to cost a lot of times on their monthly payments.
That's right. So that overall debt to income ratio I mentioned, a part of that side of the ratio where the payment says is that's part of the payment. In a lot of cases, it's escrowed, right, which just simply means that you make a total payment and the bank makes sure that the insurance company, Brevard Insurance, is paid. It's not necessary, but in any case, we still need the number because it still works into that debt to income ratio.
Sure.
So, and then we after we have the quote, we have a pretty good picture of what that payment looks like. But by the time we're getting toward closing, we need that binder, and we need to all be working together to make sure we're going to start the policy on the correct date, the date
That's
of closing.
Huge. Yeah.
It's great. It's so important to have a good team of people that all are good at coordinating.
Right. And open lines of communication and knowing what the process is, and not just we're all multiple slices at multiple times of this process, but at the end it's one big pie that we've got to serve, and they hopefully whole and intact and with a basket of goodies not me at closing, but
And it's very fluid. The amount of contracts that say this is the closing date and hit that date is not always the case, and you need to know, and the attorney needs to know, and the utility companies need to know, and there's a lot of moving parts, and so you gotta all work together as a team to get that.
Well, after almost 10 years in your respective businesses, what advice do you have for homeowners or home buyers? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't say we were going to do this before, but I just thought of it. Going through, being in the job itself, right, and working with home buyers, but then also seeing the way the market has gone in the past 3 to 4 years and how unseen it was prior, and now tentatively uncharted territories.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I find myself saying all the time that that we live in a different world than we lived in just a few years ago. Um, I'll go first because I imagine you were having the same thought. Surrounding yourself with a good team of people that know what they're doing, and not just know how to do it, but are really communicative, that you work well with, that you can talk to, that you feel comfortable asking any question, and you like the way they answer questions for you in a way that you understand. I mean, it's so important because, as we've already kind of spoken to, there's a lot going on all at the same time, and this may be the first time you've done this, maybe not, but it's not our first time, right? We know each step intimately. I guess maybe one other piece of advice is, clear out your inbox. Be ready to communicate. Make sure you put yourself in a position where you're not missing communications, because your ability to respond quickly will help the process go more smooth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And we always, I feel like, work together as a team as well, where maybe there's a delaying factor, the sellers aren't responding, or we're stuck waiting on an agent or something, and you can't be complacent to wait. You got to keep knocking on the door and keep keep pushing to get the answers to the questions, and
right,
for sure.
Gotta keep pushing through. But it's been a crazy ride these past couple years in Western North Carolina with buying and selling and all of that. What have you noticed through that? What have you learned?
I think we're coming out of some of the crazy period that we were at. I heard one expression that we were all driving 120 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone for the last 2 years. But pre-COVID, even up to 2019, we saw the median home price in Transylvania County jump $28,000, and in Buncombe County it was only 14. And then going into COVID, it went up $51,000 from that, and then 2021 up another $55,000, and then going into 2022, we're looking at a third quarter right now $67,000 increase, and so that just those values have gone up, and it's hurt a lot of kind of younger buyers or first time home buyers as far as getting into the market. But there are some great tricks, to kind of cutting those costs and finding the right property and identifying it and working within your budget is so important.
So I guess it kind of looks like to me, just hearing that, is if you're coming in, assembling your team of your agent, your insurance, your lender, your contractor, if there is one involved, if it's more of a rehab sort of situation, that's vital. And sticking to the boots on the ground people, the people who are in and out of these properties, the people who are familiar with the territory, people who are familiar with the costs of living here and what all of that entails.
Yeah.
Seems to be really important.
Absolutely.
What about you, Paul? What have you come out of this situation going into the next year with?
The question I get pretty frequently has to do with interest rates. And it's certainly been a wild ride with rates dropping so significantly early in the spring of 2020, and then staying low for a long time, and then here in the last several months, rising quite rapidly, like historically
doubling.
Yeah, like really just more than anyone really expected. And then here 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of the most significant drops in interest rates in decades, right?
Yeah.
So I think, again, someone you can communicate with, someone who's kind of in the know or has their finger on the pulse is very helpful. But, in a lot of cases, you may don't get too tied to a scenario or an interest rate that you're after. In the long run, as you could speak to, buying a home will be a great investment. If you pay a little bit more for the money, you may have a future opportunity to refinance into a lower rate, right? But in any case, historically, buying a home is a great investment and creates opportunities for people financially, generationally.
Right.
Legacy wise.
Yeah, and if you're talking about borrowing money, it's 6.5%. It's kind of about today's range. But it's appreciating at 16%. Most people aren't probably making 10% on their money sitting in their savings account right now.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So it's a long game.
Right.
It's a long game.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the effort that we ask of the buyers, all the effort that we all put in, we all want that long game to be a good one.
Right.
Yeah, I bought my first home in 2005. My rate was 6%. I was tickled to get 6%.
Yeah.
It was a great rate. I felt like I caught it in a dip.
Yeah. Timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was actually 06, I guess. And just a couple years later, the home's value, it dipped.
Yeah.
Speaking of dipping, right?
Big time.
And I was devastated. I felt stupid, and I just felt like I made a big mistake.
Right.
And it was okay. I held together, had a great place to live, and then just a few years after that, I sold the house, and I remember walking from the closing table with $50,000, and the home's value, it bounced back quickly, I think it's just one of the most stable investments you can make, and a song lyric comes to mind. The drive-by truckers say, "The secret to a happy ending is knowing when to roll the credits." Right? So that's it. If you stick with it, if you become a homeowner, most people become a homeowner for life, and maybe not a single home, but you may sell this home and buy another one, but you still kind of remain a homeowner. And it's, financially speaking, it's one of the most impactful things you can do for yourself.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thanks y'all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming all the way from Hendersonville, coming across the street over where we came from.
One block in the rain.
One block. You did walk here in the rain.
Yeah.
So, but please, y'all, we are here to help you through this amazing process. We are all homeowners. We all believe in it. And we all believe in each other. So good luck out there. Join us next week. We are cookie decorating next week from Blue Ridge Bakery. And I think we're going to have another competition going on. I think we'll see Mallory and Brad back at it, doing some cookie decorating. Little does he know, we have worn out the Netflix bakery shows on that. So she may have some skills that she's going to be pulling out next week to go with him. Don't forget, we've got the YouTube. This will be posted on YouTube. We'll be sending it out. If you ever communicate with me, you'll probably be seeing this video again in the emails. We've got a load of Insurance 101 kind of things, answering questions on workers' comp, auto, life, home on there. So if you're sitting there scrolling at night and just like, what is that thing on my insurance policy? Check out Brevard Insurance's YouTube. It's there. And email us if you have any questions. Give us a call. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, y'all. Good morning.